South Africa has had power challenges for the better part of a decade. The recent discussions have been on whether South Africans need to rethink the energy production and what the role then of the fourth industrial revolution will be in solving the energy crisis. We're joined by Neli Magubane, who's the chairperson of Matleng Energy. Good evening, Neli. Thank you so much for your time tonight. I wonder, as we grapple with COVID-19 and the country continues to face some of the energy problems, what are some of the solutions that somebody like yourself, who's running an entity like Matleng Energy, puts on the table?
Thank you very much for this opportunity to be able to talk to you prior to having a discussion at Empower Women in Energy. The biggest issue here that we need to be able to deal with when it comes to energy solutions is to make sure then that we diversify our energy mix. As we speak right now, we have got a lot of opportunities to be able to make sure then that we bring more skills, more energy in the sector, and also making sure that we have got various energy solutions. And as you correctly pointed out, South Africa is well endowed with minerals that are going to play a very, very critical role in the fourth industrial revolution. In fact, we basically are sitting up there. We're almost about the 8th in the world in terms of those resources that we can be able to deploy for the fourth industrial revolution. But of course, minerals are in the ground, and we're definitely going to need energy to be able to get it out of the ground. And that energy, it has got to be secure. And therefore, we need then to make sure then that we just don't rely on one source of primary energy, but we also look at various energy resources that will include, amongst others, renewable energy in the form of solar energy, in the form of wind energy. As far as I'm concerned, coal is still going to play a very critical role going into the future. However, we need to make sure then we start transitioning from a carbon-based economy to a low-carbon-based economy.
What would you say are still some of the biggest challenges that are a hindrance to this diversified energy mix, which we know is also something that a government wants to work towards if we look at the integrated resource plan?
The biggest challenge that we have had to date is that we have relied on one energy supplier, that happens to be Eskom. So when the problems started manifesting themselves in Eskom, then we did not have an alternative. So one of the issues that Eskom and also government is grappling with is to unbundle Eskom. So in other words, make sure then that Eskom is in a position where it can also look at other sources of energy, but also competing with other independent power producers. In the meantime, we are going to be having your transmission network where everybody can have access to it. So basically, that's what we are going to be needing to do. So in other words, we are going to be looking at transmission as a road where any car or any truck can go into that road without necessarily having any hindrance. And Eskom is going to be part of those trucks or those cars that are going to be supplying South Africans. But also what is important, we need to also to be looking at small-scale generation. In other words, where we are looking at customers also being able to generate their own power and feeding it back to the grid. And that is going to create a very robust and a very vibrant energy sector for South Africa. And my understanding is that already the Ministry of Energy of Mineral Resources and Energy has already put in place some of the regulations to start now making sure that we are able to unbundle and also provide what is called embedded generation, which is generation that is already beyond the customer meter.
What is the experience of enterprises like yourself who are entering the energy space, who are bringing alternatives to the table? What have you found the response to be?
The response has been very favorable. However, you're definitely going to need large financial resources because some of these programs and projects, they need lots of resources. Now, if you are going to be looking at bringing in your indigent, or rather your indigenous solutions to the table, then we need financial institutions to come to the table and assist and making sure that funds are available, because this is not a charity. This is a business environment that needs to be looked into.
All right. Neli Magubane is the chairperson of Matleng Energy. Thank you so much for coming on to News at Prime tonight.